Hi, my name is Lisa Spees. I'm the director of Virginians For Judicial Reform. What we do is a little bit different than what I've heard the other panelists talk about. Initially, we worked on wrongful conviction cases and excessive sentencing cases. So we would get involved in individual cases and advocate for those individuals, which is a lot of work, learning all the facts of the case. If they needed lawyers, if they needed DNA testing, if they needed private investigators, we try to raise that money as quickly as we possibly can and help those people move their cases along in the court system, or sometimes they don't have any appeals left, and so then we're left petitioning the governor for a pardon. And so we do that, and it oftentimes is a years-long process. I work on 3 cases in Virginia, 2 in Tennessee, and 1 in New York right now, and all of my guys have been in longer than 24 years, which is devastating when you hear these guys out there talking about what they go through. I don't think anybody, guilty or innocent, should be treated that way, but when you know these people are locked up for things that they truly didn't do, and you don't have to give them the benefit of the doubt because you have DNA or you have these other indicators that they're innocent, it's devastating to see that. And I consider those guys my family at this point, so I fight for them every day. In addition to that, we work for criminal justice reform in Virginia. They talked about fishback, and that's a huge problem here in Virginia. The abolishment of parole vastly changed the system in Virginia. These guys that came up here and talked were blessed in a way because they were sentenced prior to 1995. Had they been sentenced after January 1 of 1995, and they got an 82-year sentence, they're serving at least 85% of that 82-year sentence, or that 100-year sentence, or whatever it was. So these guys that were in bad situations were blessed in some way because they were able to get out on parole in a lot of cases. Not always, but in a lot of cases. So I work with organizations like the Innocence Project, Cut 50, the Reform Alliance, and try to piggyback with some of their efforts so that we can further those things in Virginia. And really, I think the biggest thing that's so important is to educate yourself on what goes on right around you. What this gentleman said as far as love and affecting, doing the things that you can do to change your community and to be aware of what your fellow citizens are going through is so important. I can't change what's going on in Washington, D.C., but I can change what's happening here this afternoon. And I'm dedicated to doing that every day in whatever I'm doing. So in addition to the criminal justice reform and the wrongful convictions and that, we're also starting to work in reentry programs. So I help inmates at different institutions in Virginia, I should say incarcerated individuals in Virginia, these guys are incredible. They come up with these programs that they want to implement so that they give their other community people an opportunity to do something. Most of them are so hungry for opportunity to learn something, to be a part of something, to have a connection with somebody else. And all they want is a chance to do that. So right now I'm working on a program at the Haynesville Correctional Center. And these guys came up with an idea to implement CPR training into their reentry program. So these guys, as they're going through reentry, which all these guys had to do before they come home, they go through all these programs. So CPR training and first aid training would be one of those things. Now think about what a simple thing that is. But think about what a marketable skill that is for these guys to put on a resume, to talk about when they go into a job, that they could just make their community a safer place for people. I think it's so important that we give them an opportunity to do that. And it's really difficult because the Virginia DOC, they don't play well with others. They don't necessarily look at these things like great ideas and what an opportunity you're giving them. So I'm typically met with a lot of resistance, but I think it's so important to do that for them and give them opportunities so when they come home they feel good about themselves. And then when they do come home, try to help them out in small little things. Getting an ID is a nightmare a lot of times. Getting a driver's license, finding a place to live, getting a job, getting a resume together. All of those things are, little things we take for granted because we're just a part of society. It's really difficult. And being understanding and aware of those challenges and trying to help people along in that process goes a long way. I mean, you show somebody a little bit of love and care, man, what you'll get back is tenfold every single time. So that's sort of what we do and what I'm passionate about. And I just, thanks for doing this today. I think it's so great. And thanks for having me here. I really appreciate it.